For those select few that are already initiated, you should already know what this is. And for those of you that aren't, just chill. See, we're gonna get to the other stuff in a minute, but what I'm always trying to get everybody to understand is everything is vibration. So, there really ain't nothing else left to do. Before we go any further, let me give a special shout out to all my fellow Libra risings out there. I know y'all see. Yeah. And on that same note, let me also give a shout out to all my Venus and Leos out there, because I'm killing it for us too. Yeah. About that time for you to open up your ear and let me crawl into your mind. One time. See, I know you think you hear me right now, but it ain't that. Although the image that I present has to be an amazing visionary experience, you really can't see me either. Nah, you gotta feel me, baby. And I'm that Jones in your bones. I'm that primordial part of yourself that really just wants to get to know you a little bit better. So who better than me to introduce you to your intricacies? Just smile. And understand that I just want to be the smile on your face. But I'm also well within the understanding of knowing that I could actually end up being the monkey on your back. It all depends on how you play it. You just might like it though. See, knowledge is power. And in that case, I'm extremely powerful. So what did you come here for? The knowledge or the power? Or both? See, nah, just smile. What it was, y'all already know who it is, and y'all tuned in with Priceless Knowledge Yourself, and this right here, this ain't nothing but some cosmic insight. And hey, man, what this also is just another installment in our introduction to the major aspects in our natal chart. All right, and understand, I said major aspects. That means we're talking about conjunctions, oppositions, trines, squares, sextiles, and quincunxes or inconjunctions, which is what quincunxes are also referred to. We won't be talking about sesquadrants, semisextiles, semisquares, quintiles, or biquintiles. Those are minor subtleties, and really that's for later on. All right. And we also won't be talking about the patterns in our chart, which is what the YODs, kites, Star of Davids, grand trines, and all that is about. We'll talk about that later. See, first, we got to master the basics. All right. Before you can ever get to ascension, you first have to master grounding. And a lot of people have no idea what that is. So it's a good thing y'all have me. All right. So last time we talked about the conjunctions and oppositions. This time, a little something about the astrological significance and meaning of the trines and squares in our natal chart. All right. And I know I usually go through a whole little monologue and soliloquy, but no. When we're talking about these aspects, we're covering a lot of information in a very small amount of time. So I'm going to jump right in. All right. So when it comes to the trines, this comes into play when two astrological points come into the close proximity of a 120-degree angle to each other. Or to put it more simply, this happens when two or more planets are in the same element or in the house that has the same element. For example, I myself have my sun in Cancer at 4 degrees of my 9th house, and my moon is in Pisces at 8 degrees of my 5th house. then my Pluto is in Scorpio at 4 degrees of my first house. And see, that's a trine every way you look at it, because it's a trine in proximity, because all three of those are within that 120 degree range. And then it's also a trine because all of them are in water signs with Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. And then it's also a trine because they all fall in fire houses, with them falling in the 9th, the 5th, and the 1st, respectively. All right. So that's actually called a grand trine, but it's actually just a perfect example of what the trine is all the way around. But anyway, anytime you talk to an astrologer, including myself, they also might refer to the trine as being in dynamic or flowing aspect to each other. All right. And that's just because this is pretty much the best representation of the most natural flow of energy between the involved planets or points right here. And in all actuality, to be honest with you, like, this is considered to be the most fortunate of all the aspects in astrology, because it typically points to opportunities, innate gifts, talents, and luck. For real. But the thing is, behind all of that is really just a tremendous amount of confidence. And that's really what luck is all about. See, people think they're lucky, but really they're just confident. They believe good things are going to happen to them. So good things happen to them. It's like I always tell y'all, man, like, in Harry Potter, in the 6th book or in the 6th movie, when we're talking about the Half-Blood Prince, all right? Ron, which is Harry's best friend, he has an issue with confidence, and he's going to play keeper for their team right there. All right. And I tell y'all this when I talk about retrogrades too, when I was talking about Jupiter being in retrograde. He's the keeper for their team right there. And Harry somehow tricks him into believing that he has liquid luck. He has drinking liquid luck. So he feels extremely confident. He goes out there, he wrecks shop, he becomes the hero of the day and all that. But the truth is, he never drank that. He just felt confident, and he was able to do things that he never thought he could do before. And that's what that is all about with that, all right? That's what these trines do sometimes. But the thing is, always remember that there can be too much of a good thing, because sometimes a trine can become a detriment, because they can bring about an ease that gets taken for granted at times. And that might end up leaving certain talents unexpressed, or it just might leave you to think that everything's going to fall into place when it isn't. You're going to have to work for it. And that's why some ancient astrologers, they actually thought that trines bred laziness. And they certainly can, for real. So I do kind of agree with that a little bit on my end. But most of the time, I'll say this though. The trine is actually going to manifest the best potential for any of the planets involved. And the best way to manage the energy is just to own it. But it's also to understand that you can't overdo it. Like, you cannot overdo it, man, because that would be a problem, man. You can never start thinking that everything is just going to fall into your lap with this one, because it don't work like that. At least not in the long run, because eventually, even fate is going to need a motherfucking helping hand. And your luck can only find you if you're open to it, first of all. All right. And second of all, luck has to be used as a tool. It can't be totally relied upon, man. It can't, because luck don't like commitment. That's something people always need to remember. Luck does not like commitment. So don't ever push it too far or think you have it figured out. That's not how it works, man. You got to put the work in for it too, man. And sometimes you got to make luck happen. You can't expect luck to happen. Sometimes you got to make shit happen. You got to be a go-getter. That's why on the inside of my arm right here in my bicep, it's tatted go-getter. All right? Because, hey, I got a lot of trines in my chart. I got a lot of talent. I got a lot of skills, but I also have to work hard. I got to work hard. You feel me? And that's real, man. But, with the trine, it's just all about learning to consciously work with your natural gifts in order to receive the fullest blessings right here, man. For real. And just remember that a trine involving fire would probably represent passion and fearlessness and intuition. And then, a trine involving water, pardon me, y'all. A trine involving water would involve a natural empath, maybe a gifted psychologist. Then air would typically point to somebody who would be extremely clever and well-spoken. And then earth would show a determined and an efficient builder with a tremendous earning potential. So just pay close attention and remember that, the closer the astrological points are in the trine, the stronger it is. And then when there's 3 or more planets involved, or there's other aspects with the trine, man, or if there's oppositions or conjunctions going on, then the dynamics can drastically change with this. All right. Just remember that. And then when I see somebody with a lot of trines in their chart, I always tell people that I'm looking at somebody that's positive, man. And I look at somebody that even when negative stuff happens in their life, they're able to learn from it. So they're able to turn that into a positive. And I know that because I have a lot of trines in my chart. That's the dominant aspect within my chart. And I understand that to the fullest. You understand? Like everything that happens, I'm able to keep a smiling face because I understand it's just a learning experience. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to make it through. All right. And because of that, I will be all right. You know, it's a state of mind. It's a state of mind. Now, shit's finna get real, y'all. Because in my opinion, the equal aspect to the trine, but on the other end of the spectrum, on the harsh side of it, is going to be the square. All right. So when it comes to the square, this one is that motherfucker, to be honest with you. And it typically occurs when two astrological points are 3 signs apart or in the very close proximity of a 90-degree angle to each other. And also 99 times out of 100, the planets or the points in the square are also going to be in the same modality as each other. And the modalities just refer to the modes of expression, which are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So to put it more simply, a square, it's going to typically happen when two astrological points are both going to be cardinal, fixed, and mutable, and within that 90-degree range of each other. All right, because barring how things fall in the chart, how things fall in the chart. All right, you could see a square come out where they're not necessarily both in cardinal, but they're that way in proximity. All right. Understand the proximity is the most important with these aspects. You can never forget that, especially when you're dealing with Placidus. Because if you were in a whole house system, then everything would be where it's supposed to be. And you don't have to worry about the proximity because they're going to be square in modality and proximity. But in Placidus, which is the more accurate system, I'm telling you now that this is going to fall. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they could fall where they're square to each other in angle, but they're not square to each other in any other aspect. All right. So just remember that. All right. And when I see the square, this just like the conjunctions and the oppositions, I want it to be within 4 degrees of that 90-degree angle. All right. So if it's, at a 97-degree angle, 98-degree angle, if it's like that, that's not going to work. All right. If it's at a 82 degree angle, it's not going to work. All right. So 86 to 94. That's something to remember with that. And, like for example, I could give you an example. In my chart, my moon is at 8 degrees of Pisces. And then my Saturn is at 4 degrees of Sagittarius. So that represents a square, both because of proximity and because of modality. All right. But I've also seen some unique cases, where it just falls differently in the chart. Okay. Like I said, a square can fall out of modality, but in proximity. And, we usually call those right there detached squares right there. But either way you look at it, this is typically known as the harshest or the most challenging aspect to deal with in astrology. Even more challenging than the opposition. Okay. That's why the trine is actually considered more fortunate than the conjunction. Because that's a lot of energy in one place. All right. The trine is about a natural flowing of energy. You dig? Opposition represents a polarity. So you have to find a balance. A square represents a true conflict of interest right here, man. For real, man. And, this is really going to be called like that because it's really indicative of areas of our life where we're going to face battles and where we're going to have to make adjustments to really see growth right here, man. And so squares really represent areas of life that are at cross purposes, like two people with two completely different agendas with equal amounts of will and strength. And they're trying to pull in 2 different directions, but they're living in the same house. It's kind of going on like that, or they're just really forced to work in the same place. So it's going to be constant issues until you learn how to work with it. Period, man. It's going to be constant conflict with no growth until they learn how to compromise and work with each other with that right here. So in essence, the square aspect is all about, learning how to give and take, and a weak will, it'll let these squares in your chart get the best of you. Because with the square aspect, it's all about discipline, grit, and determination, because it's going to take a tremendous amount of effort to learn how to manage the friction of whatever planets or points are involved in the conflict with each other with this one. All right. That's real, man. And, ain't shit going to be easy here. Just understand that with a square, the lessons are going to be learned the hard way right here, man. And that's undoubtedly. That's undoubtedly, man. So just prepare yourself to face a sharp learning curve, because, that's probably going to also end up in a realization that when it comes to the squares in our chart, they aren't integrated. They're fought through. You don't integrate the squares in your chart. You fight through them. Those are battles that are fought with blood, sweat, and tears with this shit right here, man. For real, man. And, when I see a square in an individual's chart, man, I see somebody who's incarnated and made it a direct mission to work out specific personality traits or issues in their lives. Real talk. Like for me, with that square between my moon in Pisces in my 5th house and my Saturn in Sagittarius in my 2nd house. Like, that's faith without works. All right. And not only that, that's me wanting to have fun and play and do all this shit and get high. When really, no, I need to be keeping a positive mindset. I need to be speaking my truth and making sure that I'm taking care of my business. See, that's why they're at a square with each other. So learning how to use both of them and utilize both of them is how I'm able to do what I do here with y'all. For real, man. And just understand, man, the closer the orb is with this one, the more challenging it probably is going to be, man. And it's not going to be passive in the slightest, because this is about actively making conscious actions to manage inner conflicts. And hey, you're going to feel these ones. You're going to feel these ones, man. And when I see somebody that has a lot of squares in their chart, I know I'm dealing with somebody that has a lot of energy, and they need it. They need it. Because they're in for a life of conflicts, both internal and external. And with people with a lot of squares in their chart, they're fighters. For real. Because a lot of them have a constant battle going on with their inner demons. And as negative and stressful as that sounds, this could still turn out beautifully. Because what do they say? What don't kill you makes you stronger, man. And to be honest, I know a lot of people, both historically and personally, that have a lot of squares in their chart that actually have ended up changing the world after they struggled to change themselves. So yeah, what you do with it is what you do with it. And just remember, you aren't your chart. And you're going to have a whole plethora of aspects in your chart. So pay attention to that. And just remember that no matter what you have going on, just because you built like that, you don't have to build like that. And what I mean is, we all have all this energy available to us. What you do with it is what you do with it. And even beyond that, it's not about what you do. It's about how you do it. And that's some priceless knowledge in itself. And that's some priceless knowledge of self. Hey, if y'all fuck with me on any level, this is the time that you should be hitting that like button. Really, you should have already hit it. But if you haven't, you should hit it now. And it ain't for my ego, it's for the algorithm. All right. Just help me expand my platform. You can hit the dislike button too. And that's all right. The world needs haters, but it's really about interaction. YouTube pays attention to interaction. So do that for me. If y'all are interested in any astrological readings whatsoever, you could hit me up in the comments below, but I just direct you to my email, which is mr.turner1300@gmail.com. And that's my preference. So please hit me up in my email. Y'all keep it trill. Till next time, just keep it play at all times. I love y'all. Yeah.